happening to the livestock glut that you're seeing right now? Because we have heard reports of more hogs having to be euthanized because there's really no production capacity at the moment. So is that what you're doing? How are you euthanizing the pigs? And does this mean that it's also just mature pigs or also piglets?
Right. So I do want to reiterate that the situation of oversupply right now isn't because of oversupply. It would be because of the supply chain mechanism that is weakening when processing plants do close or when they do shut down. So yes, unfortunately, when it's a tough day when producers for years and years they get up in the morning and they go to look after their livestock. It's a very tough day when the next morning they have to go into the farm and to determine euthanizing or having even that conversation is actually quite of a strain for a stock person.
Hey everybody, this is Shad Sullivan coming to you from the headwaters of Bitter Creek, Archer County, North Texas. We have to talk. State officials will be assisting to help identify potential alternative markets if a producer is unable to move animals, and if necessary, advise and assist on depopulation and disposal methods. Ladies and gentlemen, we are plowing under vegetable crops from coast to coast. We are euthanizing millions of chickens. We are aborting sows and burying feeder pigs. We are dumping milk by the hundreds of thousands of gallons, and now they are preparing us to depopulate the fat cattle ready to harvest because of a bottleneck created by the effects of COVID. This thing hasn't been created by COVID, but the effects of COVID and the logistics therein. We are in trouble. Our food supply is in trouble, and I am appealing to producers and consumers across the nation to start calling. Yesterday, the first shipment of imported beef from the country of Namibia hit the shores of the United States of America. And yet this morning, they are telling us to prepare to euthanize harvest-ready cattle.
Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of Civil-Liberties News. I'm here today to discuss with you guys food shortages and what you can do to help protect yourself and your family. More and more we're seeing processing plants shut down. They're telling us in the news that there's going to be a shortage. They're warning there's going to be a shortage. This processing plant has closed down because there's been too many people sick. We've seen several of them shut down here in the United States, and we've got farmers coming out talking about having to euthanize their animals that were ready to be slaughtered because they don't have anywhere to send them to get slaughtered or to be processed. This is going to be a huge impact on our country, and our country has never experienced what it's like to have massive amounts of people going hungry, and unfortunately it looks like that's the direction that we're headed. I really hope that we don't ever get to that point to where we're actually seeing, people starving to death on a large scale in our country. I know that there are people who go hungry in our country. Even in this quote-unquote first world country, we still have people who go hungry every day, but not on the scale that it's looking like it could be with all of these plants closing down. One thing that we shouldn't do is run out and hoard a bunch of meat, especially if you have nowhere of keeping it. Like if you don't own a deep freezer, chances are if you do own a deep freezer, you're probably already stocked up. You buy meat when it's on sale, like I do, and me and my family. You try to buy in bulk, when the prices are down. This is a CNN report basically detailing how our supply chain is breaking down. Farmers, meat suppliers, slaughterhouses, processors, particularly meat processing. Tyson has closed down. There's been several places that have closed down, and some have even closed down indefinitely. And I'll link to this article, as I will also link to the video in the beginning that you've seen. So if you want to check that stuff out on your own, feel free to do so. My main thing is, what can you do to make yourself more self-sufficient? One of the things that you can do, and this is what I did, right? When this thing first kicked off and they were talking about basically closing down our economy, I foreseen these things happening. I foreseen there being people running out, hogging everything at the stores, bare shelves. I also kind of foreseen that there was a good possibility that our country was going to end up in a depression, not a recession, but a depression. I spoke with my wife, and this was something that her and I had discussed for a long time, actually a few years, about doing. And I said, it's now or never. Like, we need to make ourselves less dependent on, basically on the government, really. I said, let's go to Tractor Supply and let's buy some chickens. And that's what we did. That's one of the things that we did. We bought 12 laying hens. They're just baby chicks, but by this winter, they'll be pretty much full grown and they should be laying eggs. Worst comes to worst and we have to kill a couple of them, then we will. And when I grew up, we had chickens. So this isn't nothing, new for me. I grew up in the country. We had chickens. We mainly used them just for eggs, but occasionally we would kill one. We also always had a huge garden, and that was one of the other things that I got when we went to Tractor Supply. Was we bought a ton of seeds so that we could grow our own garden this year and do some canning and some freezing. Myself, I have 2 big deep freezers, and we try to, anytime meat's on sale, we buy when the prices are down. If I wanted to go buy half of a cow, I could. So what could you do? You could do some of the same things that I've done. You could also get together with some of your family, that doesn't live in the same house as you, and maybe go to a local farmer and purchase a half a cow or a whole cow, if you guys have the room for the meat. All I'm saying is, do whatever you can do to make yourself less dependent on anybody else but yourself. Start scaling back on the amount of meat that you eat. In other cultures, particularly Asian cultures, they eat very little meat. I mean, if you look at some of the dishes that they make, the meat is really sliced very thinly and it's sparse. They don't sit around and eat a bunch of beef or pork. Their diet is more fish and rice. And that's something else that you can do too. If you know how to fish, get out there and start doing some fishing. Catch fish, clean them, freeze them. Start squirreling away food. I'm thinking especially for this winter. I think this winter is going to be, it's not going to be like any other winter that we've ever went through before. And especially if this virus comes back, and it comes back with a vengeance like viruses normally do. Normally the second wave is usually way worse than the first wave as far as its lethality. Let me show you one other article. This is Smithfield shutting down indefinitely. And these guys are a huge pork plant and they're shutting down. And I'll leave a link to this as well. Smithfield Foods, the world's biggest pork processor, said on Sunday it will shut a U.S. plant indefinitely due to a rash of coronavirus cases among employees, and warned the country was moving perilously close to the edge in supplies for grocers. They're telling us, I feel like people aren't really listening, or they're not paying enough attention to this stuff. They're more focused on the numbers, how many people are infected, the death rate, all that stuff. But we got to prepare. We got to be ready, especially if you have a family. Be ready to fend for yourself. I mean, I kind of grew up that way. Like I said, we lived out in the country. We raised chickens. We always had a big garden. We hunt. We fished. Deer hunting was huge in my family. I can remember one year when I was a kid, almost every night we ate deer meat. Deer was a huge staple in our diet. We can get through this. but you can't wait until they shut the grocery stores down or until there's nothing left to try to prepare. I don't believe that it's too late yet, but if you don't start now, you're never going to be prepared for what's probably going to come this winter. I'm not fear-mongering. I'm not trying to scare anybody. I just want people to think outside the box, prepare themselves, and let's get through this together. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you got anything out of this, please subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when I release another video. I'm not doing this for money. I'm just doing this to try to help inform people, you know, give facts instead of the BS that the mainstream media pushes. That's my thing. That's my goal. I want to be able to give you guys news that you can use. We'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.